Hello and welcome to PT 2501 United Church Polity and Professional Leadership Ethics. My name is Ross Bartlett and I'll be your instructor for this course. In this introduction to PT 2501 United Church Polity and Professional Ethics, we're going to look together at the objectives for the course. We're going to explore our way of being together and sort out some of the practical questions that attend on any university course. It's worth noting that this way of learning may be new for some of you, so a key practice is to just take a breath and relax and move through things patiently, asking questions if you need to. You can always reach out to myself or to Kate Jones if you have questions. The objectives of the course are fairly straightforward. We're in a time of transition in the organization of the United Church of Canada, and those of you serving in pastoral ministry are experiencing those changes. However, when the change in our structure came into being in January 2019, there were still many details left to be worked out, and we are living through that time of working out. In one sense, it's very exciting to be part of a new birth. On the other hand, it is both messy and uncertain. And so as you give leadership in communities of faith, you are on the front lines of the impacts of those changes. Those to whom you give leadership may still be set in the former ways as opposed to the new and current. So one of the things I try and do in this course is try and make connections and references to what some of your folk may understand as what it was, so you can help them move in to what is. By the time we've concluded our journey, my hope is that you'll have a working knowledge of the three-council model and the differences with the four-court model, that you'll be familiar with the United Church Manual in its current form. We will talk about professional ethics for clergy, and throughout we will be paying attention to the question of leadership in challenging and changing times. Throughout our time, my emphasis is going to be on the practical aspects of this as they affect our functioning in ministry. I want you to be familiar with the manual in its current form, but you also need to be familiar, I think, with the 2010 version of the manual. And the reason for that is this. In 2016, the decision was made to offer the manual in a radically different form. It was argued that the existing format of the manual was too intimidating and too complicated, and so many details were removed. The fact that those details were removed did not change either polity or policy, and sometimes when you're looking at an issue and you need some clarification, it's helpful to know where to find it in a previous edition which had those details. Now, being familiar does not in any way, shape, or form mean that you're going to be an expert. I don't want you to have the manual memorized. What I wanted to do is help you establish sufficient familiarity with the manual so that when questions arise, you know where to look, you know how to get around the book, and most importantly, you have a sense of when it's a good time to be looking for those answers. When we focus on professional ethics for clergy, we're looking at something not because of distrust, but rather a matter of knowing what to do. What's the right thing to do in any given setting? And so we'll explore clergy professional ethics, where we derive ethical standards from, and how we apply those standards in basic congregational settings. And throughout the time, we will be paying attention to what it means to be leaders in changing times. Some days the phone never rings and sometimes it never stops. At this point, I'd like you to open the course outline, the syllabus, and we'll talk our way through it. Page 1 and 2 take us through the basic items about the course, about honesty and submissions, and so forth. Please read those materials carefully. That is followed by an important section about submitting assignments. All written assignments will come as an email attachment to my AST address. You've had that on numerous emails from me. It's my practice to acknowledge receipt or to return marked assignments within 24 hours. And so if you haven't heard from me, that may mean your work has gone astray. And so please follow up. All written assignments should be double-spaced using a common word processing program. Please, nothing obscure or exotic that your cousin may have built for you, okay? Please don't send me PDFs. I like to comment within the document you send me, and I can't do that in a PDF. Deadlines. Deadlines are important. Deadlines are important in ministry. Sunday comes whether we're ready or not. It's particularly important during summer term because we cover a lot of material and a lot of distance very quickly, and it's quite easy to fall behind. So, the deadline for submission of material is 7 p.m. on the day due marked in the syllabus. That's 7 p.m. your local time. I'll know that because of the date and the timestamp on your email. Please don't be late. The penalty for late materials is 5% per day. Now, on the bottom of page 2, you'll find the course texts. Because of the challenges of this summer, I've tried to make sure that all of the readings are available online. If you want to purchase a hard copy of the 2019 edition of the United Church Manual, you might find some through UCRD, and those will cost you something. The other readings will be available online, either on Brightspace or through hyperlinks. The links were active when I recorded this lecture and as recently as the beginning of the month. But that can change fairly quickly. If you find a broken link, please let me know ASAP so that I can make sure to fix it. On page 3, you see the marks for grading. You can see the relative worth of the various assignments. What are those assignments? Well, thanks for asking. The first is something that I call a leadership memo. Assume that you're going to a new role in a congregation, and they want to know your leadership priorities. You can imagine this as a memo to other staff or to lay leaders. It's an opportunity to say what is important to you in leadership and why. You can't cover everything, so please prioritize. Don't try and touch all the bases. This paper is due on June the 30th. In other words, on our first Tuesday. The other major item is a book review. It's a review of one of the books in the leadership bibliography that I sent to you or that's found on the Brightspace website. You can pick another book and suggest it to me. This is a review. It's not a report. I don't want to hear a line-by-line summary of what the book says. The author already did that. What I want you to do is engage the book. Here's an example. You can pick 2 or 3 things that the author says that seem most important or most surprising or most controversial to you. You don't have to agree with them. Use the first couple of pages to outline the thesis of the book and the direction of the book, and then use the rest of your review to engage with those key ideas. Why do you think that they're important? Why are they controversial or surprising? What new insights did they spark in you? How will this change your ministry? Those sorts of reflections. We come to the case studies. Case studies are widely used in professional education in a variety of fields to help the learner grapple with real-life situations, and all of these case studies do come from real ministry situations. The aim of the case study is to invite you, the learner, to reflect on a situation and determine how you would respond. So, what questions does this case spark in you? What resources would you bring to bear? How would you act in a similar setting? The aim of the exercise is not to come up with the one right answer. It's to demonstrate that you are developing the skills and abilities of reflection and application of appropriate materials. Most of them will require some application of manual awareness and also awareness of the ethical standards of the United Church of Canada. Everything being applied within a framework of the pastoral care realities. It's not simply saying this is the law. Manual and polity are always applied in a real context. For the purposes of this course, you will read all of the case studies and be ready to discuss them. You will submit answers to 3 of them, and your mark will be based on your best 2. Please note that the written responses to the case studies, are due the day before the class discussion. So, for example, the case studies that are due on Tuesday will be discussed on Wednesdays. Case studies discussed on Monday are due Sunday, July the 5th. All of the readings as assigned are considered required. Continuing on through the syllabus, please note the paragraph about the Boundaries workshop. If you have taken the workshop, please shoot me evidence of having done so. It may be a scan of a certificate or it may be a copy of an email. If you have not taken the workshop, please send me the information confirming your enrollment in some upcoming session. You can find those sessions in United in Learning. United in Learning. Then we have our day-to-day life together. Here's what's going to happen. The video or audio version of these input sessions will be available the evening before, probably around 6 o'clock Halifax time. You are expected to listen to or watch those input sessions prior to our gathering, and we will gather live as a whole class at 1 o'clock Halifax time. During our afternoons, we will have the opportunity to ask questions and push further about the input sessions, to talk about the readings, and to explore the case studies. And we'll have more details on the day-by-day mechanism for when we gather in our first session. I think the days are fairly straightforward as laid out in the syllabus. I do want to note a couple of dates. The first is July the 6th, when you will need a copy of your region's governance document available to you for reference. The governance documents of the various regions are different and they will be found in different places, so you'll need to do a little bit of research in advance. On Tuesday, July the 7th, our guest presenter will be the Reverend Faith Marsh McCush, who is the Executive Minister for our Atlantic Zone of the United Church of Canada. I think that covers everything. Let me know if there are any questions. I'm looking forward to our time together.